This video is brought to you by
Cool Green Clothing. We done gone worldwide, and we coming straight out of Baltimore. And if you in town, pull up on us. We're on the block with it at 215 West Saratoga Street. And if you're not in town, go online right now at coolgreenclothing.com and make your purchase. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you ain't cool and getting the green, you're in the way. And that's just basic.
What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Before I get into the story, I just want to say everything in this is alleged. With that being said, let's get right into it. For most people, when we wake up in the morning and leave the house, the goal is to make something shake to take care of you and your family and to make it home safely. Of course, when out in the world, you never know what and who you will encounter. People have problems, issues. You might not have no control over them, but you do have control over yourself. Meaning, you could have a boss or a co-worker that cracks slick every day, has a messed up energy about them, and it takes everything out you not to put hands on them on a regular basis. Or someone could cut you off in traffic, say something slick out their mouth from their car and dare you to do something about it. Now this is where your choices come into play. Of course, you can engage in these situations, show people you cut like that, and deal with the outcome. But as a grown man or woman, we have things to lose. You have to ask yourself, is petty situations worth crashing out or possibly even losing your life? You live and learn, and most know they have nothing to prove. But as a young person, it's a different vibe. That pride and ego is oftentimes through the roof. You are ready for whatever. And any signs of somebody being disrespectful or playing with you will be enough for some people to go all out, from 0 to 100. But one thing we all gotta know, when we choose to engage and be trained to go, it could go 50-50. All situations have to have a winner and a loser. And unfortunately, sometimes losing means your life. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be discussing the case of a late night altercation on the Baltimore block that took a fatal turn. Earlier this year, 26-year-old Dimitri Briscoe Jr. was a young man, a father, brother, and son navigating life in Baltimore. Coming from a good family, a loving mother and father who was security back in the day for a lot of the Baltimore Ravens football players. Dimitri had a decent upbringing and grew up to be a great young man. Described as someone who loved life, had a big future ahead of him, all about family and dreams and goals. But tragedy would strike for the family earlier this year in April, when the young man's father, Dimitri Briscoe Sr., suddenly passed away, leaving the family and Junior left to grieve. On another side of town was a 25-year-old woman named Karen Redfern. Karen was a mother of a little boy and soon-to-be wife, as her and her fiance, who we'll call Tay for the sake of the story, was getting ready to make that big step and jump the broom. The young couple were trying to get on their feet. Karen had a decent job as a certified medical assistant at Greater Baltimore Medical Center and was loved by all her co-workers and friends. Described as loving, outgoing, and a go-getter. Her and her fiance lived with his mother on a quiet block in Northeast Baltimore on Westfield Avenue. In the late night hours of June 1st, allegedly, for whatever reasons, Tay and Dimitri had some kind of beef, and Dimitri chose to get it off his chest with a fight. He pulled up to Tay's mother's house around 1:30 a.m. and banged on the door looking for her son. Scared, she called her son, who wasn't home at the time. Him and Karen was out on the town, telling him there's some people outside looking for you. After the conversation, he headed home. His mother, still shaken up, called BPD, stating it was people outside her house beating and kicking on her door. A few minutes later, Tay and Karen pulled up and hopped out the whip, and him and Dimitri squared up to fight. Neighbors heard the commotion, and BPD got multiple calls of a disturbance in the neighborhood. As the men fought, Karen walked in the house and grabbed a kitchen knife. When she came back outside, she told Dimitri and his peoples to leave before swinging the knife multiple times. As Tay's mother called police again, she opened the door to see everybody was gone, including her son and Karen. BPD finally responded to the location, but to their surprise, it was a quiet and empty block. But it was signs of a fight because articles of clothes, jewelry, and other items were in the street. Also, drops of blood leading from one house to another on the block. Police realized people had Ring cameras in the area and asked Tay's mother where was her son at, and what she stated she didn't know. Around about 2:30 a.m., a call came in from a Baltimore County hospital, Franklin Square, and Rosedale. They stated they had a stabbing victim who was in a fight. When police went to the hospital to question the man, he unfortunately passed away from his injuries and was identified as Dimitri Briscoe Jr. Other officers drove to multiple hospitals in the area looking for others that might have been involved in the altercation. When they ended up at MedStar Good Samaritan Hospital on Loch Raven, they saw a woman who had just pulled up and hopped out of a truck with two men, one bleeding from the nose and mouth. Police approached them and asked the group was anybody involved in the fight and told them they needed to come to the station and talk. They noticed a knife also in the truck, in which police took for evidence. At the station, Karen decided to talk to detectives. She stated her and her fiance was out when his mother called, stating somebody was looking for him. They went back home to make sure she was okay and ran across some people who was parked in the neighborhood. She stated they hopped out to fight. She claimed as her fiance was fighting, she went in the house, grabbed a knife, came back outside to scare everybody so they could stop. She stated the man, now identified as Dimitri, laughed at her as she swung it around. But when she found out the young man passed away from a stab wound, the young lady claimed she had no idea she had cut him. But by this time, police had Ring camera footage from the block. It showed the fight. Karen go in the house, come outside, approach Dimitri, and start swinging the knife as him and his peoples ran back to the car and drove off to the hospital. Tay was sitting on the curb in the neighborhood. He asked Karen, like, yo, where they at? And what she stated, I don't know, probably somewhere bleeding to death. This made police feel the young lady was aware of her actions, and she was taken into custody, charged with first degree and second degree hit. Dimitri's family was devastated and felt there was no reason for her to stab him and a young man losing his life like that. A GoFundMe was started, in which I will share the link in the comments if you want to support. But as of now, this is a new case. Karen was denied bail at her first bail hearing, but she is innocent until proven otherwise. Rest in peace to Dimitri. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. I'm not sure why Shorty felt he had to pull up to fight or what the beef was about between him and Tay, but I'm torn on this one. As a man who wants to see people live, I can agree with a fight rather than the guns coming out. But like we was talking about earlier, you never know the outcome or how the next person will respond when you choose to engage, especially when you pull up to their house. I often take stories like this to heart because it shows just how fragile life is. A young man who just lost his father, whole life ahead of him, now he is gone. A young woman, a mother, fiance, good career, now because the choice she made, she has to fight a murder charge and live with this for the rest of her life. I have family members myself that lost their lives in similar situations. I know people feel like saying I don't want no trouble is a sign of weakness, or if you feel played, we feel like we gotta react, but at what cost? Two families torn over a late night fight. But I want to leave this one open for discussion. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Yeah, man, it's a crazy story. Rest in peace, that young man. I definitely send my prayers to his family. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. This your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out.